High Seas has been out for a couple weeks now, man, and I've opened a case of the product. I've sniffed a lot of the cards, and I've played with, the cards that I pulled, and I've played a various amount of games, and I wanted to give my overall thoughts and opinions about this set. Now, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Jason from Deck Edge. I purchased a case from him this time around, and I got some pretty decent pulls. I was very happy with what I got, but a big shout out to him. He has a YouTube channel as well, fellow content creator. I'll put a link down below to his channel. But without further ado, my thoughts on High Seas. Now, every set since Dusk Till Dawn for Flesh and Blood, I feel has had a very targeted focus from Legend Story Studios of what they wanted to target, right? And what the purpose of each set was. And I really like this. And for High Seas, I think it's very clear what that focus is. And that is first and foremost catering to a younger demographic, especially Magic the Gathering type individuals, right? That's the main focus of current or previous people who identified with playing Magic the Gathering. And the reason why I think that is if you look at the artwork overall, a lot of the art has that feel of Magic the Gathering. Not all of it, but a good amount of it has like a Magic type feel. Like when you see that zombie dog, and you see the floating airships and stuff. You get this Magic the Gathering feel where it's more cartoony art, not like a full Disney Mickey Mouse type cartoon, but it's more of less fantasy and bleeding into the cartoony realm, right? That's the best way I can explain it. And then also as a kind of like side quest for High Seas, I think that Legend Story Studios was really trying to appeal to collectors. And they made a lot of things in the set that really appeal to collectors, and I want to go into that in a bit. So those are the first two topics I really want to discuss in length a little bit. One is their focus on Magic the Gathering type individuals and younger demographics, and then I'm going to go into them appealing to collectors, right? So if you think about it in the first, if you look at the artwork, very much appeals to Magic the Gathering players. And I want to reiterate, as I've said in the past, I think that this is a good approach for them to do and trying to capture more of that market share. I think that they've firmly established their market share of individuals from 25 to 35. Now they got to get those younger individuals. And when they get those younger individuals, it's going to create that loop of gaining new customers, just being in the fact of young kids playing games, right? And that's going to constantly acquire new, customers without you having to do much work. It's going to get in that loop. But the artwork definitely, first and foremost. Next is the tap symbol. I know it's really simplistic and everything like that, but just having a tap mechanic is utilizing something they call in the industry as piggybacking, right? And Mark Rosewater has a nice GDC speech on this, but piggybacking is utilizing different mechanics and things, right, in your game, and it piggybacks off of an existing thing somewhere else. So when you see the tap symbol, an individual's like, oh, I know what that is. That's from Magic the Gathering, right? Instead of having any other type of symbol and what have you. And I know Flesh and Blood Legend Story Studios doesn't, I don't believe, use the word tap, but they have a symbol for it that is very reminiscent. So when someone is learning the game and they hear from a buddy like, oh yeah, that symbol just means tap, they instantly understand what it means and they can comprehend it, right? So you have that. Another thing is the amulets, the ruby and the sapphire and what have you. I feel like it's very reminiscent to the Power 9 in Magic the Gathering. It's not like one for one type of, copy paste, but it feels a lot like MTG in my opinion, right? So I think with those types of things that I've talked about, like first the artwork, then the tap symbol, and then the rubies and amulets and everything, I think we've firmly established that the main goal, right, was to appeal to Magic the Gathering players. I think that is really where LSS tried to, skirt the line, like toe the line to get as close to that as possible without like completely making like too much Magic content in their game that that looked way too magic-y, right? And they did it in a way where it's so subtle that it's there without a person instantly thinking about it, right? And that's, I think, the perfect way to go about this. Because if everyone's like, oh, they're just trying to appeal to Magic people, it'd be kind of weird. So the way that they approached it was great. And overall, the whole goal, younger demographics, ex-Magic people or current Magic people, I think is a really great market share for them to, look at. Now, I want to go into the second topic of this, of what I think the focus of High Seas was, which was designed for collectors. Now, if you're a collector, as I am, and a lot of players too collect cards, they like pretty cards. Who doesn't like pretty cards, flashy cards? Everyone likes flashy cards, right? So the appeal to collectors is smart, in my opinion, with the design, right? And first and foremost, I want to say to Legend Story Studios, a lot of times when designing your game, you're probably forced into awkward situations where you're like, well, if I please this group, I can't please this group, right? And you're like, well, I don't want to, give too much to this group because this other group's going to be upset. Or if I do this for this group, other people are going to be upset and everything. I think what we've noticed with High Seas, which is the perfect example, is everyone likes money. Everyone likes money in the box. Everyone likes pulling expensive cards from the gambling apparatus that is a booster box. Even though you appeal to collectors, you really appeal to everyone. And anyone who says otherwise, they didn't pull anything good in their box and they're just upset, right? Or they just aren't a good customer overall. You shouldn't listen to that type of aspect of people saying, oh, I don't like how this is, geared towards collectors. Like that whole type of verbiage is like the very, very, very small minority that really isn't representative of your true customer. And that's not the person that's saying the game is too expensive. That's a whole different topic altogether. But overall, I think the whole aspect is when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. In this case, you please everyone by putting more money in the box. Plain and simple. You are selling an apparatus that is gambling, and you are essentially giving people more money or putting more pulls in it. And the more you do that, the happier people will be in general, including game stores who are very happy with High Seas, I'll tell you what. So anyway, off that rail, right? I want to talk about this product as it appeals to collectors. Now, the important thing to note is it doesn't matter if you like things or you don't like things that were in High Seas. What matters is the design and the philosophy around it. And I want us all to really just picture it high level, right? When you have this product, you have a gold pack in the box. It isn't every box. It is a flashy pack that is a box topper-esque thing that looks really fucking cool. And it's in every box, so you can't weigh all the boxes ahead of time. But it is in every box, and it looks very flashy, and it has high pulls and really cool cards. And even if you don't pull something crazy, you at least pull something like, I think, this treasure token is in every box, right? Or in most. I think you can get the Gold Kiss from, but this is in most packs, right? And this looks really cool. So just from the start of having a nice gold pack, ooh, it's a special collector type pack where you could get some really cool collector pulls. This is a brilliant design mechanic, and I like this so much better than Parthimus Veil, where it's every 4 boxes or every 6 boxes, which is bullshit because people can weigh the boxes ahead of time, and people probably got really ripped off, behind the scenes. But that's neither here nor there. This type of method where you have 1 extra pack in every box is perfect, and it looks really cool. And I've watched YouTube content creators who didn't know about this ahead of time, and it's really cool to watch them whoa, what's this? It looks like an extra special pack. And they were just blown away. If you watch content like that, it's really interesting. And I think the guy I watched is this guy Philosopher Cards. Shout out to him. He's more into sorcery, but he opens a bunch of different TCGs. He's a cool guy. Anyway, but he had that expression on his face, and it was really cool to see. Well, I didn't see his face, but just the thing in his voice, right? You could hear it. So I really like the gold pack overall. this is brilliant for collectors, right? And the next is the James White signed cards. Oh man, I'm dropping cards everywhere. This is a great idea. In other sets, I've had the feeling that collectors really weren't thought of with certain things. This is a really great thing to add to the box, right? Is it like the most perfect thing in the world? No, but you had literally cards that were essentially one of ones, right? Where James White only signed one of them, or maybe he signed two of them, but one is in this box. It's brilliant. High-end collectors like one of one items, right? So it really appealed, I think, to the high-end collector. I don't know what the prices will be. I don't know if it'll have like a 10, 20, 30, 40% premium. Who knows, right? It's hard to put a price on that, right? But overall, it's really cool to see that James White took cards out of his personal binder from the first 3 sets of the game and put it into this box for high Cs, and he signed them, right? That, I think, was a really cool move. Even if you don't want to collect it or don't think it's a great thing to collect personally, you have to admit, putting one of ones in the box is really cool, especially with the test print cards and what have you. They look gorgeous, and it's really cool how they're like one of ones or one of twos or threes. It's a really good play for the high-end collector. Next, you had kind of the middle tier collector that you appealed to, which is the 1 out of 100 amulets, right? So that, I think, was a really great play because there's 9 separate amulets, right? So you have essentially 900 of these cards, which is a really good population. You have 900 cards, right? But each one is unique to 1 out of 100. 1 out of 100 cards are like a great sweet spot. It's a really good amount of quantity, but it's small enough to where you still get the interest in the high-end collectors of like, hey, maybe I can have like a whole set of each one, or click 9.5s of the whole thing, right? It appeals to both subsects, and I really like this aspect of it, right? Of having a 1 out of 100. So you can see with all these different things, and then beyond that, they had like more cold foil cards that were probably 1 out of 500, 1 out of 1,000 pop. We don't know what the population size of these other cards that were in the gold packs, right? The full art cold foil ones. It's hard to tell. So overall, Legend Story Studios designed High Seas very much around the collector sphere from what I've seen. And I like this. And I think for some portions of sets, right? Some sets in the past I've been very critical of Legend Story Studios. I'm like, hey, I don't feel like collectors are being very heard or represented, or the design isn't really thought of when doing collectors, or when they tried to do collectors, it just didn't feel like they had a pulse. This set has been the best set for Flesh and Blood that caters to collectors by far. And regardless of if you want to collect the cards or not, like me personally, I don't know if I really want to collect the amulets or, the one-on-ones and everything like that. It doesn't really appeal to me as much. I'm just saying personally. But from a design perspective, having one of ones, one of hundreds, gold packs, like this is all of the recipe to making a good product that appeals to collectors. So I really have to give it to LSS for that. Overall on the product too, I think that it's definitely appealing to a lot of people. And the print run does seem a little bit small. I'm going to rant a little bit here. But the print run does seem a little bit smaller as of now from the wave that has been initiated, now, which I've previously dubbed Early Access Premium, where, you put a really short wave at first to, put the prices up high, and then like slowly, put out product after that, which LSS has been doing, right, for the last at least 3 to 4 years as of now, right? They slowly trickle product in, which is a good idea. So, from how they've really put this out to the market, it's been great. And the box prices are holding above $100, which is the first time I think in 4 years that that's ever happened. And to be honest, I've felt a lot more recently, especially in like the last 6 months, that it's felt more and more like a pre-Monarch era where people are excited to open product. People have that like lust for product, if you want a word, or they have that itch and then they want it, right? You haven't had that for a while, that where people get like not crazed. It's not a craze, but it's like a pre-craze era. It feels like that. It may not be that, but it feels like there's this just this urge that people have now, and the box prices reflect that, and the card prices reflect that, and the EV on the boxes reflect that. And it's really great to see, because the more the money gets pumped into these sets, the more game stores profit, and the more game stores profit, the more other game stores are going to want to profit and get in on the action. And the more other game stores want to get in the action, then it's going to proliferate to other players who are interested too. Because like I said earlier, everyone likes money, right? And at some point, yeah, you shouldn't put out a box that goes and appreciates from $100 to $300 in 2 days. That's a little bit on the egregious side. But if a box is put out into the market and it stays at $114, which is your MSRP, and it stays there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, then you've done what you were set out to do. You you put out a product that maintained its price point and that people wanted. So overall, this set I think has been the most successful in modern years, like in Fab 2.0, 3.0. I think this has been the best. And something that may be because of this is the last two sets, right? You've got the Hunted, which is a really banger set. And you've got Rosetta, who was also a really great set. And these sets as well catered a little bit, especially Rosetta, to the younger demographic. So this may be an after effect of those previous successful sets, where it takes time for customers to become a full-fledged good customer. It takes like from day one of them buying their first product, it may take 3 to 6 months for them to be a full-fledged customer and interested in buying a lot of your future products. So this may be as a result of that. We don't know. It's hard to tell, but that's just something to note. But yeah, and for my personal experience, I didn't buy the last two sets. I kind of was like a little bit reserved. I bought the singles that I wanted, but didn't buy the booster boxes. This set, I wanted to buy the booster box because it was cool. It would be really awesome to pull like a 1 out of 1 card. That sounds awesome. Or some like crazy pull. So I'm glad I did it. The cards I pulled had money in it. I was happy to see. Sold some, kept some, but overall my personal experience with it was cool. And I'd like to create the decks seem cool with Gravy. Gravy seems crazy OP. And then the other two, Marlin seems really nice too. I like the hero ability there. It has really good synergies. But yeah, overall my personal experience has been good. And yeah, just sum it up. I think they did a great job, and they appealed to the younger demographic, but also high-end or middle-tier collectors, which is a recipe for success. And they made they made a fun product. Now I want to talk about something a little bit at the end. Is the cold foil Fable was not in the box. Now, this is a very interesting topic. So, Legend Story Studios decided to print 25% more of the rainbow foil, and they didn't put any of the cold foil of the Tropple Donnie, the pendant that you pitch it and you get a gold token. My thoughts on this is it's weird. It's weird for the collector community because there's a lot of collectors out there, like this content creator Jonah, who recently is a fellow. What is it? I missed where I was going there. But anyway, Jonah collects cold foil fables. So overall, he wasn't able to get his cold foil fable this time around. But I guess it's coming. I think Chris Gearing alluded to it on a Twitter post. Oh, what was that? Oh, I guess my thing fell. Anyway, my thought process is, I think if I was LSS, if I was in their shoes, what I would have done is created maybe 2 waves of product. Your first wave has like 30 to 20% of the total population, or maybe it has 40%, right? 40% is your first wave. You send that out. It has everything that's currently in the box. once all of the big hit cards are pulled, right, the one-on-ones, or once most of them have been pulled, or after like a certain period, like 6 months, then you put in your second wave. And in the second wave, it doesn't have the James White signature cards. It has none of those, right? But it has the CF Fabled in that slot. I think that having that, right, where you have a first wave that has the James White cards, second wave that has the CF Fabled, then you have this situation where you reward early adopters to the product, and then the second wave has a little bit less of a specialness to it, but it still has the most of the stuff. And if you think about that aspect, it really encompasses the first edition and unlimited vibe without separating the products to having it two separate things, right? It's the same product. It's just you have a little bit better chances of pulling something crazy in this box versus this box. And even still, pulling a CF Fable of this card, Treasures of Tropical Donnie or whatever it is, it's a very powerful Fable. So it's going to retain a good premium, and it can only be pulled in the second wave. I think that that's how I personally would have gone about this. But the decision overall of just pulling it from the box kind of has me questioning. But overall, if you think of the set and the box price now, the box prices are over MSRP after release, like 2 to 3 weeks after release. They put enough money in the box. So taking that CF Fable out of the box and putting it somewhere else kind of makes sense, because if they put it in the box, it would be even more money per box, right? And if we were sitting now, right now, I think it's been 3 weeks after the set release. If the box was like $80, $70 on TCG Player or $90, I would think that LSS made a mistake by pulling it out. Because the box prices are at or over MSRP on the open market, in my opinion, I think that by doing so, they are more justified, right? It's a little weird, not gonna lie there. It's a little weird. I'd like to see where this heads. I'd like to see how it all unfolds before I make a final opinion on that. But at this point, it's kind of odd. But I see, based off of the MSRP, that they are more justified in doing that because the box prices are already really good. They've held their end of the bargain by making money in that box. So by them pulling it out, it kind of makes sense to me. But I really hope it's done in a really good way, where they're putting it out and it's not something odd or ruffles any feathers. I hope it's not in a judge pack. That would just kill me. But yeah, that's my thought process. Again, I think there's gonna be 2 specific waves, or maybe there's 3 waves. The first wave that's out now has all the James White signed cards. In subsequent waves, there's no James White signed card, but you get to see a Fable in there. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But yeah, it's been a really damn good set. Cheers.